This is a second stimulus check update. A new timeline is revealed, and I'll give you the full breakdown of when you could expect to get a second stimulus check. Nancy Pelosi, Steve Mnuchin, and President Trump were all asked yesterday when a stimulus package is passing, and I'll give you all of their responses in this video, and surprisingly, it's not what you would expect. Before we get started, quick reminder, I'm giving more cash to my subscribers to help out with these hard times. I'll have details to that down in the description below. I hope you're having a great day so far. So yesterday, Governor Charlie Baker announced a $774 million economic stimulus package just for the residents of Massachusetts. Many other states are offering their own stimulus packages of $250 million and various numbers. My question to you, is it the state's responsibility now to provide stimulus to the American people and to the state residents because the federal government is not? Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on that. Moving on to second stimulus checks and stimulus negotiations. So the finger pointing and blame game has flared up again, as it does every few days. So Nancy Pelosi, Steve Mnuchin leading up to today were optimistic. Mark Meadows said that he expected a deal to be reached within 48 hours. That 48-hour window just passed. And then whenever an obstacle comes up, it flares up and they both call each other names and point fingers. So the latest flare-up is with Nancy Pelosi. She was asked yesterday, two interviews actually, about the stimulus. I'll let you know what she said. The one disagreement that she's had pretty much all week has been the White House stance on the COVID testing and tracing. She's saying she wants to crush the virus with a $75 billion package that would pay for COVID testing, tracing, and the Trump administration actually changed the wording up to 55% of what Nancy Pelosi originally wanted in that bill, and they changed it a few times actually. So she said that the White House must allocate the resources in a way that follows the CDC guidelines to crush the virus because everything else we're talking about will just continue and perhaps worsen unless we crush the virus. They did come to a few different agreements. I talked about it in yesterday's video that they are passed. Stimulus checks is one of those, fortunately. When do we expect a second stimulus check to happen? She said, we've put pen to paper, we're writing the bill, and hopefully we'll be able to resolve some of the differences. We could do that before the election if the president wants to. I think he does. I know we do, but we want to do this in a bipartisan bill to come to the floor, one that removes all doubt that it would become the law. The president is delusional when he said we've turned the corner on the virus. We haven't. We have miles to go. So Nancy Pelosi still optimistic, still saying she wants to pass a deal. Some are saying that she's delaying it until after the election. I'll give you that timeline later on in the video. Moving on to President Trump. President Trump and Steve Mnuchin also had a press conference yesterday in the Oval Office, asked about stimulus. Basically, President Trump and Steve Mnuchin are now shifting the blame to Nancy Pelosi. It seems like they're both blaming each other. Here's the clip of Steve Mnuchin and President Trump, and let me know what you think of it.
If we can get the right deal, we're going to do that. We've been speaking to the Speaker. I would say we've offered compromises. The Speaker on a number of issues is still dug in. If she wants to compromise, there will be a deal. But we've made lots of progress in lots of areas, but there's still some significant differences that we're working on.
I mean, one of the big differences that she, and I said it last night loud and clear, she wants to bail out poorly run Democrat states. They're poorly run, both in terms of crime and in terms of economics. And we just don't want that. We want COVID related. But she wants to bail out poorly run Democrat states. And that's a problem because you're talking about tremendous amounts of money. And we don't want to reward areas of our country who have not done a good job. And a lot of those areas have not done a good job on medical and COVID. I actually think Nancy would rather wait till after the election. She thinks it's a good point for the election, but I think it's against her because the American people know it's her that's stopping the money to going to them. So, you know, I really believe it. I think she views it as a good election point, perhaps. She's, you know, good for November 3rd. I'd like to see the people get the money. I don't think she wants the people to get the money before the election.
And talk about President Trump's last statement there about the poorly run Democratic states and cities as a bailout. I just think, personally, with my unique perspective, I'm an independent. I don't associate with Republicans or Democrats. I actually like values and principles with both sides. And I don't support politicians or parties. I support what's best for the people and policies. With that unique perspective, I don't like the idea of not giving money to people in these states because of their politicians. I rather President Trump punish the politicians rather than the people in those states. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. President Trump wants to have it before election by blaming Nancy Pelosi, saying that she's stalling until after the election. Larry Kudlow weighs in on this. He usually doesn't have much to say. This kind of summarizes what he says in the interview right here.
Would you give us an update on the status of the stimulus talks as of right now?
Well, look, the talks continue to talk, and committee people in both houses are discussing key issues, Senate and House.
And he doesn't really say anything new throughout that 6-minute interview. So I think the problem here is the politicians are getting paid way too much money. So they should be living like the people they're supposed to be helping, but instead they're getting paid 6-figure salaries whether or not a stimulus package passes. They're getting weeks off of vacation whether or not a stimulus package passes. So I think the problem here is not Republicans versus Democrats, but it's the haves versus the have-nots. The three key players here are Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, and Steve Mnuchin. Those are the three most important people that are in charge of a stimulus package passing. They have the most power. Mitch McConnell has a $30 million net worth, Nancy Pelosi, $120 million net worth, Steve Mnuchin has a $400 million net worth. So whether or not a stimulus package passes, they still get to live in their mansions, they still have the refrigerator stocked with food, and they could buy and do whatever they want, unlike the American people that they're supposed to be helping. When it comes to the stimulus timeline, it's important to know one detail. When a stimulus proposal is introduced to the House floor, it needs 72 hours before it can be voted on, which means that as a hypothetical, let's just say magically an agreement is made on Monday, October 26th. That means it would have to wait 72 hours, which is 3 days, until the 29th before it could be voted on in the House. Then let's just say magically it passes the House, then it goes to the Senate for vote on Friday the 30th. Let's just say magically the Senate does pass it right away, then the president would have to sign it on Monday the 2nd. This is the day before the election. Not likely, but possible. He then signs off on it, and then we would get our stimulus checks probably within 2 weeks by mid-November. Now, we don't have an agreement yet, which means that we're not going to have a stimulus pass before the election. The Senate is still not on board with the stimulus, so things would have to be changed, and they wouldn't vote on it right away. And if President Trump, November 3rd is election day, whether he's elected or not, he may not want to sign the new stimulus. So there still are some plausible factors in mind here. So when it comes to stimulus checks, most likely we're not going to get it in November, depending on how the election goes. I just want to keep it real with you and let you know that timeline right there. That's all the stimulus news I have for you today. To cheer up your mood a little bit, here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I'll tell you the one thing that you should do. When you feel hurt, don't feel scared. Ask for help. Like when I get hurt, I ask for help. Like today. I got hurt, so I asked for help. See, help always comes because when you need help, everybody's always there for you. No one could leave you out, especially if you're a kid or an adult. Because when you feel stuff, it makes you feel something, and people just want to help. They don't know if you need your help, so just ask when you need it. It's okay. We're here for you. Bye.
So I try my best to inform you on what's going on with stimulus news, and I know it's not the best news and it could be a little depressing, which is the reason why I created this video over here for you. It's 7 simple ways to get out of a bad mood and control your day. It's my other channel, Wise Vibes, which is all about providing uplifting messages, inspiration, and motivation. So I recommend clicking that video right now if you want to feel better throughout the day. Click that video right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.